What is your name? Tell me about yourself.
So my name is Oladys Garcia, and I'm a junior in elementary education here at Iowa State this year. I was born in Mexico, Jalisco, and my family was pretty poor over there, but we were still like, I thought we were well off, but looking back, I'm like, oh, we probably weren't as well off as I thought, but it was still nice. My dad kept on moving back and forth from the US because he was like working and then sending money, and then he'll come back and stuff like that. So I missed him for a long time during my childhood. My mom worked in like a little clothes shop thing that we had, so that was cute. And finally, when I was 8, my dad was able to like get the papers for us too, so like our residency. And when I was 8 years old in 2nd grade, we moved to the US, and we ended up in this tiny town called Royal, Iowa. And there was probably like 500 residents in the whole town at that point. And my family was the only Spanish-speaking family in the town and the school district. So that was tough, because I remember like diversity-wise, my school, there was just another like African-American girl in my classroom and me, and everyone else was like white farmers. So that was a change to get used to. But at the time, I was so excited just to be back with my dad and like having my whole family together. Yeah, we didn't have a lot. I remember my dad had like a used hospital bed that moved, and that was like the bed I got, which I was happy because it moved. I don't know, it's probably gross now thinking about it, but it was nice, yeah. And my sister would sleep like in the living room with me, and then my parents would get the bed. Like not the bed, but like the bedroom, and they would have a mattress on the floor. So I don't know, it was tough times, but those were probably like the happiest memories I have from my childhood too, which is crazy to think like money doesn't really get you happiness, you know. But then my mom got diagnosed with breast cancer, which that came from, she had the BRCA gene. It passes on, so it's inherited. And I think if you get it, you have like an 85% chance of getting breast cancer. I'm not sure, it's something like that. Yeah. And if a parent has it, then you have like 50% chance of getting it. So I have like a 55% chance of having the gene. So I have to keep on checking and making sure. Do your best exams, it's October. But yeah, it's good to be aware of that. And that was hard for me because my parents aren't very like, we don't really talk about emotions and how we feel. And that was hard to like see my dad just cry on the phone with my grandma, and like he didn't really know how to tell us about it. And so I found out because my sister found like the exam papers in like this little computer thing we had, like the old computers. It was like a little office thing, so that's how we found out. And it was tough. I remember the next day, like I was in school, I was in 5th grade, and I went downstairs in the middle of class, and I just looked at myself in the mirror, and I'm like, my mom has cancer. Like, I guess at that moment, I didn't really know what cancer really was, you know? But you always hear of people like having cancer and like, oh, they're fighting cancer and stuff, but you never think it's gonna happen to you. So when it did, that was, I don't know, it was crazy to see that actually happen, yeah. And then eventually my mom started getting treatment, so she started losing her hair and she got very weak. And she's such a bubbly person, like you could hear her laugh like 2 blocks away. But, so that was really hard to see her go through that. But the town I was in was, we were so blessed. I guess I didn't really go into this before, but neighbors that we didn't even know from blocks away kept on bringing food to us. And my dad's coworkers brought like literally so many groceries that they were in the table for like a week. And so I felt really loved at the time. And my school also like hosted a volleyball game and did a fundraiser, and like that money went to my mom's like cause for cancer, so that was really nice. She eventually got better and she was cancer-free, so yay! That was awesome. But yeah. My school was so small, they didn't have like an ESL teacher because I didn't speak English at all, and neither did my dad did a little bit, but my sister, who was in 8th grade, didn't. And so what they wanted to do was to put us in special ed, which that's a no-no. Yeah, it was, but a lot of the teachers there that were like interventionists got together with the principal and talked to them like, we shouldn't do that, let's try to find something else out. And so the reading teacher in the elementary school, she got asked if she wanted to get like her ESL endorsement. And so she did, and she started getting her master's as well. But she eventually started to teach me, my sister, and my mom for an hour after school. So that's kind of how I learned English, which was really cool to see that, because they really like opened up the doors for us, even though like looking at it, it's like, oh, we're the only Hispanics, and it was hard to like not be able to talk to others, but they felt it, they made it very welcoming. And there were so many teachers I could talk about. But in 3rd grade, we went to a play here at Iowa State, and we got to tour like the football facility. And in my mind, I guess I'd never really heard about college, because my dad didn't even graduate from elementary. He had to quit school when he was like in 5th grade. And so he started working after that. And my mom, she graduated from elementary, but she wasn't allowed to go to high school because like sexism at the time in her family. So she ended up going to like this accounting program instead. But she still she still wishes she would have gotten her high school degree. So higher ed was not really in the cards for me at the time. I don't know, I saw it like the American dream to be able to go to that big university. And I think that's the first time I really had a seed of like, Iowa State is like the place I need to be at when I grow up. I don't know. I eventually started thinking of like what I wanted to do in the future, and nothing was really calling my name, I guess. Like I didn't really know anything that I could do. But then I like looked back in my life, and I saw like the teachers had been the ones that really impacted me the most, and I really would not be here without my elementary teachers and all of the other teachers as well. So I thought that I should go into teaching and see how that would be like. And then I noticed that ESL is a thing, like English as a second language, and I'm like, oh, I can maybe do that. like I was an ESL kid and I know Spanish, so yeah, I got really interested in that, and I thought that I would probably try to get into like a community college and then transfer to like the cheapest university I could, because I did not have the money to pay for college, and my parents didn't either. You know, my mom wasn't really working at the time, and my dad was a janitor. So my senior year, the first semester of my senior year, all I did was fill out scholarship applications, like left and right. It was bad, and I was so stressed about it too, and I was praying so much about it, because without those scholarships, I would not have been able to come to Iowa State. But yeah, I remember every single day I would go in and knock on my guidance counselor's room, like, because I just needed so many scholarships to apply for. It's crazy to think about, because looking back, I'm like, dang, my dad didn't even graduate elementary, and like, he still worked enough and hard enough for me to be here. And like, I don't know, I'm just so thankful for it. And they might not be like the most emotional, and like, you know, the way my parents were raised was so much different than the way I was raised. And I hope the way I raise my future kids is probably a little bit different and better than the way I was raised. But you just have to grow, you know? And it's just crazy to see like the generational jump from my dad and my mom to this. I don't know. It's like literally I'm living my American dream right now. Like midterms suck and I might complain about it, but I'm so thankful that I even have the privilege to complain about it, because I don't know, that's literally such a blessing to be able to be here, and like just to think that I could possibly just affect the life of maybe one student, like that, I feel like it would make it all worth it. I felt very much, okay, I feel kind of weird, because I feel like I'm too American for the Mexicans, and then for the Americans, I'm too Mexican, if that makes sense. So I'm like in a weird place, because I'm not really here or there. But I definitely thought there was more like inclusion from my Mexican culture part, and I thought there was a lot more diversity here, which for students that were coming from bigger towns like Chicago, it would probably be like, this is not diverse at all. But for me, I was like, oh wow, this is nice. But yeah, I guess I didn't feel excluded, but I didn't feel completely included in some ways. I feel like my religion was definitely something that helped me like go through all of these things and still have hope, and like feel like I have a privilege to be going through these not sufferings, but like these difficulties, you know. I feel privileged to be able, that my mom got cancer while we were in the US, because if we were still in Mexico, that wouldn't, I don't know how we would have paid for that treatment, you know. We wouldn't have had half the help that we did. And it just definitely brought a lot of riches to me, so.